Good morning. Dan Miller, Historical Solutions, LLC. It is Friday, April 4th, 2025. I'm coming to you today from the Columbia Club, downtown Indianapolis, Indiana. Excuse me, I've got to get this coffee going. Need my IV, and I have to shift it here to a cup. Why am I here, besides the coffee? Pretty clear, pretty simple, pretty direct. This is my first book. Tragic Turns, 6 Leaders in the Death of Martin Luther King Jr., April 4th, 1968. That's what this book is about. It's very brief. I'll put the Amazon link on the YouTube site here. So I wrote the book around 3 things. Number 1, my definition of a leader, which is a person with 1 or more followers. Number 2, a leader finds himself or herself in Indianapolis on the night of April 4th, 1968. And number 3, that's the night that Martin Luther King is declared dead after having been shot. And those leaders, 6 of them in my book, those leaders have to help their followers deal with a tragic turn of events, which is King's shooting and death. So they range from the famous, and really one of the reasons why I wrote this book was because an alumnus of mine who was at a hospital. I was doing a session on Martin Luther King. This is in Vincennes, Indiana. Alumnus of mine came up to me. She was the vice president of nursing at that facility. And during a break, she kind of whispered that she was in Indianapolis the night King was killed back in 1968. She told me her story. She's one of the 6 leaders in the book. She was 23 years old or something at the time of the tragedy, of the tragic turn. So I got to thinking, boy, that was a heck of a story she told me. So let's nose around a little bit. Here's why I wrote the book beyond that conversation, which is if all you go by is the once-a-year CNN report, and I'm not knocking CNN, I'm just saying that's probably where you're going to see it. Once a year, there'll be a report about Martin Luther King's death, and there might be a reference to Robert Kennedy Sr., and a speech that he gave in Indianapolis that night. And so if all you go by is that once-a-year report, you would think that Robert Kennedy Sr. was some angel who flew and glided and floated into Indianapolis and calmed the roiling waters, and then flew, glided, and floated away the next day to his next campaign stop. I think it was in Cleveland. He was running for the Democratic nomination for president. Well, that's not what happens. So that's what gets portrayed, and I don't mean that conspiratorially or anything like that. It's just, the past is one thing and history is different. The past is everything before now, before the time I did this. That's everything prior to that is the past. History, little bitty pieces, slices, chunks and bits that are remembered for some reason. So I thought, you know what, this isn't the only piece, slice, chunk, or bit to this story. And sure enough, Kennedy does his speech. Kennedy is in Indianapolis. Kennedy does some things that are really pretty cool, but it's not the whole story, and maybe even it's not the most important part of the story. So I looked at 5 other people who range from the world-famous Robert Kennedy Sr. down to a 23-year-old nursing employee at a local hospital named Carol, and a variety of people in between. And I found that there were many parts of that night, many parts of the reason why there was next to no violence in Indianapolis when so many other cities had bloody protests and bloody responses and violence and things of that sort, understandably. So, but none here really in Indianapolis, a little fracas here or there, but nothing to speak of, and that was unique. So why was that? Well, it's a lot of people contributing, not just the famous and the internationally known, but a lot of people who we would call ordinary, doing extraordinary things under difficult circumstances, under a tragic turn of events. So let me tell you real quick the names. Let's go through the roster, shall we? So again, here's the book. Happy to have done it. I may reissue this. I need to add some things that I've since discovered. But we have Robert Kennedy, Sr. We have the new mayor who's celebrating his birthday. His name is Richard Lugar, the new mayor of Indianapolis. We have Dr. Frank Lloyd, Sr., African-American doctor in a very important position in a very important hospital called Methodist here in Indianapolis. We have Paul Cantwell, a member of the City County Council, who's one of his daughters, by the way, is the senior U.S. Senator from the state of Washington, Maria Cantwell, today. Who else do we have? We have Carol Olson, our 23-year-old brand new nurse at Community Hospital, now called Community Hospital East. And then finally, we started with the famous, well, let's go to the infamous. The infamous is a man by the name of Charles Snooky Hendricks. Now, I believe that's also a jazz musician from that era, but that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Charles Snooky Hendricks from Indianapolis, the near north side of Indianapolis. And there's a variety of words used to describe him in terms of titles. Social activist, gang leader might be another one. Streetwise would definitely be one. And the most important one from my perspective is the word or the title, leader, because he absolutely fits my definition of leadership. He has one or more followers. So he plays a super important, integral, critical, and vital role that night, in conjunction with Robert Kennedy Sr., interestingly enough. So that's the story of 6 people on a night of tragedy, on a night where their followers look to them to help with a tragic turn of events. So I encourage you, if you haven't purchased the book yet, pick up a copy. It won't take you long to read it. I wrote it so that you could throw it into your carry-on bag or something and read it during a plane ride, and I think that you'll see that I achieved that goal. So again, April 4th, 1968, here it's April 4th, 2025. And you find people of all kinds who are acting as leaders and who are making positive contributions in times that occasionally can be quite difficult, as it was that night. So bear that in mind, take heart, and take note. I'm Dan Miller, Historical Solutions, and I look forward to seeing you soon.